Today we will be covering our QuickBooks Online integration. We will be going over some basic information about the integration. We will be going over setting up the integration, seeing the integration in action for bills, payments, and trust accounting. And finally, at the end, we will be taking a moment for a Q&A. So as I had mentioned before, feel free to leave your questions anytime throughout the webinar, and I will get to those at the end. So now I'm just going to go over basically a quick overview of our QuickBooks Online integration. All invoices, payments, and trust account transactions created in Docketwise are synced to your QuickBooks Online account. The integration is only compatible with QuickBooks Online, so if you are not a QuickBooks Online subscriber, you may want to consider signing up or switching over. If you are a QuickBooks desktop user, QuickBooks actually does offer a service to be able to facilitate the process of switching from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. So also the integration is only available for Docketwise Suite members. Docketwise Suite also does include the CRM. It includes bulk messaging and also this integration. Just to quickly go over pricing, Docketwise Suite is currently at $79 per user per year. And on a yearly or annual basis, that is $828 per user per year. And I think I may have misspoken. Suite is $79 per user per month. So also, if you are currently a standard subscriber, you are not a Suite subscriber, you can actually upgrade at any point you would like to. And if you have any questions regarding billing, how that would affect your billing, feel free just to reach out to us in the in-app chat at docketwise.com, or you could reach out to us by emailing us at team@docketwise.com. So to upgrade your subscription, you would simply go to settings, you would then go to subscription, and you would indicate the option for Docketwise Suite, and then save those changes. Also, we have some things to keep in mind when using the integration. The integration is only, or will only sync invoices and transactions after the integration has been enabled or activated. If a contact does not already exist in QuickBooks, a new customer will be created within QuickBooks once a transaction has been recorded for said contact/customer. Invoices without any charges in Docketwise will not create an invoice within QuickBooks. It's only once those charges have been added to an invoice. Trust requests are recorded in QuickBooks only after a payment has been made towards it. Edits on invoices such as changes to payments or changes to charges are also synced from Docketwise to QuickBooks. And one final thing is that deleting an invoice or payment on Docketwise will actually not be synced over to QuickBooks. So if you want to delete an invoice or payment on Docketwise, just make sure that that is also manually reflected as well within QuickBooks Online. So as I had mentioned before, we're just about to jump into setting up the integration. Then we will go into bills and payments, and then go into trust accounting, which will cover, of course, trust requests, trust disbursements, and trust transfers. Now, for setting up the integration, I will need both, of course, my Docketwise account open, which I do, and also my QuickBooks Online account open as well. Perfect. So since I am using actually basically a brand new account just to demo this integration, I don't have any bank accounts set up or any invoices set up or even integration yet. So first I'm going to start out by setting up the bank accounts. So I would just go to settings and bank accounts here. I'll start making the operating account, which I'll just call operating account. And I guess we'll say the banking institution, just hypothetically Wells Fargo, and we'll start it with a balance of 0. And let's also set up a bank account for trust. So of course, go in settings, bank account, and create new. We'll do trust here. We'll just call it trust. Actually, we'll call it IALTA Trust. And hypothetically, we'll just say that's Wells Fargo as well. So that we have that done, we have our actual accounts in QuickBooks set up. We will go over again to settings and then click on integrations. Here we will click on Activate QuickBooks. And of course, we will have to do this. So I'm going to choose my company here and proceed to connect. All right, and this brings us back to step 1 of 2 within Docketwise for setting up the QuickBooks integration. As you can see here, we have to map out pretty much the charges and discounts as well, which are reflected within Docketwise, map those out to a product/service in QuickBooks Online. So you see here the service charges, which are parts of the invoice, expenses, and discounts as well, will all need to be mapped out. Since I have a brand new QuickBooks demo account, I actually don't have any of that actually set up yet. So I can show you real quickly how that is done. So we will just want to go to sales, and then we will go to products and services. So I'm going to set up each of those 3. I'll start by adding a product or service. Let's say attorney's fees. Here we can also add a SKU if you would like to, or a category. I'll just categorize this as operating, since we'll say hypothetically it's just going in and out of our operating account. So we want to keep track of it this way. And right here, income accounts, we do actually want to include this. I will do this just for sales based on that income account right here. And I'm actually blocking the save and close. So here we go. I will save this. And then let's say I also need to set up the expenses as well. So I'll do new. Let's just say service, and we'll call it ordinary costs. Let's categorize it again under operating. And we can connect this, let's say with billable expense income. And just make sure I'm not blocking my options. So billable expense income, I'll map it there. And then I'll save and close this. And we just need our coupon or discount one as well. So I will create new again. Let's go to service, and we will name this discounts. Discounts, we'll choose a category. I'll just make a new category for discounts here. Discounts, add that description or category, and let's say the income account for this, let's have discounts / refunds given to customers. And I will also save and close this one as well. So we have all of those actually now set up in QuickBooks, and we should be able to map these out here. I'm just going to refresh this step right here, and I should have the options for adding these in. Yes, so I will add in operating attorney's fees for service. Expenses, I will do operating ordinary costs. And for discounts, of course, I will choose my discounts account for that. Here is actually a very important but possibly overlooked setting. You need to make sure that this coincides with the actual time zone that you are using in your QuickBooks Online account. If it is not actually coinciding with the hour or the time of your QuickBooks account, what you select here, it could cause some, I guess, issues in syncing the information correctly. So I am, for example, in the East Coast of the United States, so I'll choose America, New York. And then also this is just another option right here we have in step 1 of 2 as well. It says invoices created within QuickBooks via the integration will not be numbered by default. If you would like your invoices to be numbered by default in QuickBooks, navigate to sales settings in QuickBooks. We have a nice convenient link here. And we would, of course, just deactivate custom transaction numbers. I won't be doing that, but I will show you how to get there. All right, so it just brings us directly to here. We'll go in edit sales and content, and it would be just disabling this field right here. Like I said, I won't be doing it for this demonstration, just wanted to make you all aware of that option. So we have everything set up here actually for step 1 of 2, and we're able to proceed to the next step. Here we would have to map out, in QuickBooks, in order to keep track of your trust accounting, you will actually need to have 2 accounts. You will need a trust account and also a trust liability account as well. So both of these will need to be created, if not already, in QuickBooks and then mapped out here. So you can see we don't have any of those in QuickBooks yet, so we don't have any options here. So I will just go back to QuickBooks, and I will want to go to accounting, which brings me to the chart of accounts, and I'll create a new account. Well, just one note here, I am in the accountant view. If you're not in the accountant view, you may not have the option to add new accounts here. So I'll just add a new bank account, and it will be trust, of course. And we are good to make this one, just the trust account. And we will make also the trust liability account as well. So we will choose the account type as other current liabilities. And the detail type, of course, will be trust account liabilities. So now we can, of course, save and close this right here. Okay, so now I have both my trust account and my trust liability account both set up in QuickBooks, and I can go over back here and get into this step 2 of 2. Of course, like I said, I didn't refresh yet, so it won't be showing up, so I'll refresh again. Brought me back to step 1 of 2. Okay, now back to step 2 of 2. The trust account and also the trust liability account. Those are in QuickBooks, and I'm ready to map those out. So I would just hit save and return right here. And I have all my accounts mapped out, for Docketwise and QuickBooks. So now we're just going to go over the integration and see it in action. I'm just going to go over bills and payments first. So I will start just by creating, let's just say, a pretty generic standard invoice. I won't include too much on it just for this demonstration right here. So I'll create a new invoice, let's say for Nordia. And we will, of course, indicate it as a bill. It's going to go into our trust account, or sorry, our operating account. And I will indicate a matter here as well. And of course, to add the charges, I would just add them right here. So let's say attorney's fees in the amount of naturalization, let's say $3,500. And then we could also, let's just say, add ordinary costs for $150. So we also do have the options to provide discounts as well. I will show that just in a little bit, but I wanted to show how this reflects first. So I have this created and I have charges. So this, as I had mentioned before, will now be showing up in QuickBooks. So we can go there just by going to, let's say, invoices right here under sales, and then I will see this invoice here. So we see it was made today, the customer Nordia Martinez, and the amount is reflected there as well. And the due date is also reflecting as it is here. So just to bring this up, to see more information about this, you can click the pencil icon. We'll bring up the option to edit and then also view this. So we see here that we have the product or service was operating ordinary costs for the amount of $150, and also operating attorney's fees for the amount of $3,500 here as well. I'll close out of this real quickly. I'll go back here and I will record a payment. Let's say a partial payment this time. So of course it's going to our operating account, and let's say she paid $2,000. So I'll just say partial payment, $2,000. And I will save that payment. So now just to see how that looks over here, we are back at Invoices. And we can see that $2,000 is here, but of course we haven't deposited it into our bank account yet. In QuickBooks, I do not have an actual bank account linked to QuickBooks, so that isn't an option for me to demonstrate how to do that, but that is just something to keep in mind, that recording this, you will have to reconcile later the deposits actually into your bank accounts in QuickBooks. But that can easily be reconciled with the details left from the integration. So we can see right here that the amount of the invoice is still the same. That has not been changed. And we have $1,650 due still, and the status of partially paid. So we'll go back in here. Of course, these details haven't changed, but we can see one payment made right here. We can see the date as well as the amount paid. So now, as I mentioned before, we can also edit invoices. So let's say this is now $3,000. I made a mistake when I made the invoice, and now we're just making that correction here. So we have, of course, the outstanding balance of $1,150, and the invoice total is $3,150 now. So that should be automatically reflected within QuickBooks. Of course, $2,000 is still deposited, $3,150, and $1,150 is still due. So as you can see, that actually did change there. And let's say we edit the payment. She only paid $200, but we accidentally put in an extra zero, let's say. So we will just edit that payment. And $29.50 still due. We'll refresh in QuickBooks. And then, of course, we see $29.50 still due. We'll go into here. Well, the payment of $200, we see that there. And then also we can see the details just by editing the invoice, or bring up the options to edit the invoice. So payment of $200. Now, let's say we're going to just record the final payments for this, just to see how that is reflected. So we'll say operating account, of course, and the remaining amount. And we'll just leave a note, remainder paid. Of course, we see here $0 reflecting for the current balance. And then also when we refresh here, we will see the same thing. So we see here, of course, we have nothing due. The status is reflecting as paid, and we have both payments reflected on this invoice. Great. Now, you also be seeing this reflected in the journal as well. So to get to the journal, you would of course go to reports, and then I favorited my journal just for easier access right here to see how this is reflected here. So of course we have these transactions. Okay, so the invoice right here, the client's name is reflecting under name. Accounts receivable is debited for the amount. Ordinary costs, these are both broken up and then credited to the respective accounts as well. And then we can see this zeroes out there at the bottom. And then also for the payments, we see that there's a debit for the payments to deposit, and then also a credit for accounts receivable of the same amount. And of course that balance zeroes out as well. Now, finally, we have the other payments and also the same details being reflected. So now I can also make, let's just say I'm going to make a little bit more complex of an invoice just to be able to reflect coupons as well. And then the 150 for ordinary costs. And we'll provide a discount here. 10%. Let's record the payment, operating accounts, and paid in full. Okay, so we did actually have this one reflect here. So we can go ahead and check out pretty much how the coupons and discounts reflect. So we're going to go into the one that was just made. So just to confirm, that was the total was 32. Okay, so it's going to be this one right here. Just to check out the details. We have this listed here. So of course, the same as we saw before. And then we also have this entry as well for discounts. The description is listed here. And then also the amount as well, which is reflected as a negative balance. So we're going to go check real quickly how that reflects on the journal. So we're going to go over here to reports again, go back to the journal, just to see how that's reflected. So we see, of course, the newest invoice right here. We have all of the listings right here. As before, the total amount appearing in a debit for accounts receivable, ordinary costs and attorney's fees, both, of course, as credits to their respective accounts, and then the discount appearing as a debit to the account that you mapped out for discounts or refunds given, however you have that indicated. And then, of course, for the payment, that won't be really changing for this, just that the amounts that they owed was different than the entire sum before the coupon. So now we can actually go over trust accounting. Let's say we're sticking with Nordia, and just a basic example will be, we need to collect the trust account or the fees for her filing fees in our trust account, so we can then write out the check to USCIS and then disperse that. So we'll create a new invoice for Nordia. We'll create a new invoice, and then of course specify that as a trust request. And the amount, if I remember correctly, for naturalization, filing and bio, $725. And in Docketwise, we have the option to either, basically to be keeping the trust accounts at the client level, the contact level, or the matter level. For this example, I'll be keeping it at the matter level, and I'll just store that in her naturalization matter. So now we'll just create that invoice. And then, of course, we don't need to do anything really here. We already have the amount necessary entered in here. And let's say we received the payment for her filing and biometrics fees. So let's just say we're recording it as a direct payment, and we'll have it go into our IELTA trust account. And we'll be having it paid in full. Let's call it filing bio fees and 400. So I'm just going to copy this and then include it right here as well in the description. So now that we recorded this, recorded this payment for the trust request, it will be appearing in QuickBooks. Just keep in mind that because this is not any money going into your operating account, it is not going to be tracked in invoices, but you will, of course, be able to see this under reporting, just so you can keep track, of course, of the money coming in and out of the trust account, and then being able to reconcile that as well at the end of each month. So just to see how that's reflected, we'll go ahead and refresh this. And it will appear at the bottom as the last entries. So we have, don't know what's going on here with my screen. Let me refresh. So, okay, just gonna move myself up a little bit. Interesting. All right, so it just creates a journal entry. Of course, we will have the date that was recorded, and then we will have it matching with number 1. So I can just go show you over here that this is just the first journal entry here. The memo description, transaction for Nuria Martinez, payment for invoice 3. So the transaction for Nuria Martinez is a debit to the trust account, while payment for invoice 3, so invoice 3 is of course this one. Payment for invoice 3, trust account liabilities, that is a credit towards that account. And then of course we have those amounts bound zeroing out at the end. So now I guess we can move on to just seeing how this looks dispersing the funds for the filing bio fees. So we're just going, we did store these at the matter level. So of course we're going to be going over back to the matter. We wouldn't be able to find those at the contact level. So we're at the matter, and we'll go to trust account. And then of course we will see the 725 balance here, and the date of this as well. So let's just say, hypothetically, we wrote the check today, we're mailing out the package, and we're going to disperse the funds for the filing fees and bio fees for the N400 to USCIS. We'll disperse these funds. Choose the date. We'll say that's today, and the amount will be the entire amount on hand, 725, and filing bio fees N400. Just say marketing, and we'll say this payment. So we can just go back to the trust account and confirm that this has been taken out of the account now in Docketwise, and we are reflecting a balance of 0. And I will just show you how that will reflect in QuickBooks. We see at the bottom right here, we just have the second journal entry here for the disbursement. Of course, we have this, the memo description, disbursement for Nuria Martinez. The account is the trust account, obviously, and the action being taken is a credit to the account of that amount, while payment for invoice 4, we have that here, trust account liabilities, basically the disbursement, and then debiting the liabilities account. So now let's go back. Let's say a little more complex of a scenario, a little different case for trust billing. I know there are probably hundreds of ways different law firms will do billing, but I'm just covering some simple ones right here. So I will make a new invoice. Let's say it's going to be a trust request. I'll be doing trust billing and then billing against my time, and then using also the funds that were received in the trust for the filing fees as well. So I'm just going to go over that real quickly on how to do that and how it will reflect. So of course, we're going to start out with a trust request. So let's just say it's for Rudy, and we'll make a trust request in the amount, let's say $2,800 for his removal of conditions matter. And we'll keep the trust account funds at his matter level, and then we'll create the invoice. And then of course we will record the payment for the entire amount. So it's just going to go into our trust accounts, $2,800, and description, paid in full and save the payment. So just make sure that is getting reflected here. Excellent. So we have this, the new journal entry for the trust request and payment for said trust request by our client Rudy. And this, of course, just reflects as it does per normal for any trust request and payment. So, of course, we're getting the transaction, which is debiting the trust account for $2,800 and then crediting the trust account liabilities account for that same amount. So now we will go over to here, and we will have to, let's say we finish casework on this client and we want to bill him for the time and also just some other expenses that were involved in preparing his case. So we'll create a new invoice. Of course, this one will be a bill, and we'll assign it to his removal of conditions matter, and we'll create the invoice. So now let's say we want to bill for his time, as I had mentioned, the time that was spent working on this client's case. So we'll import some time entries. Let's just say we'll import all of these. So it's just all work that was previously done on his account that we will be charging against the amount that he had in his trust account. So import these entries. Also, in addition to these, let's say there was also, let's say FedEx fees and then some other ordinary office supplies that we'll be charging for as well. So we'll add a charge, let's say FedEx, and let's say it was $40 exactly. And then we will also add, let's say $100 for ordinary costs. And that will be 100. So we have this right here. And so we have all of these mapped out. So let's go back into the invoices in QuickBooks. And we see this one right here. So we see the total amount due and that it is due in 7 days. Then we can also see every single time entry here as well, and the respective amount that is being charged as well. So let's go ahead and record an entire payment for this. So let's record a payment just from a trust transfer, of course, since we're using the funds that were deposited into his trust account. We'll indicate the matter level, of course, and let's say we're using it from these funds that he had just deposited for work to be done on his case. And we're going to route that money from the trust account to our operating account. And let's say it's paid in full. And we'll save a payment and see how this reflects in QuickBooks Invoices. Okay, so we see this now here, that it has been completely paid. We're gonna go in here just to see the payment reflected, 21.20, and also we have how it reflects in reports as well under the journal. So we can see here, of course, we have all of these time entries as well as the totals right here, basically as it would be for any other bill invoice. And then also just the payment. Okay, and let's say that also we are going to disperse the funds since his package was mailed out already and we have billed him. So we'll just disperse those funds as well. So we'll go to his matter. We can get that right here. And then we will go to trust account. So we can see that he has a remainder of 680. which is pretty lucky of us because that is the cost of the filing and bio fees for the removal conditions. So we'll disperse what's left. Let's say it was today. And 680. And we'll say I-751 filing. All right, so now we have that dispersed, and we can see that right here as well. And I did forget to mention one thing just about that payment that we had just done, which was a trust transfer. So I'm going to go just show that right here. So we did have a disbursement from his trust account right here in that entire amount. And then, of course, basically that payment coming from his trust account going into our operating account. And then, of course, here, just the disbursement of the filing fees. And that pretty much does it for our demonstration.